Good evening, my name is Erica Wellington and I am giving a video reference for Tommy Taylor to St Peter's College in Auckland. My relationship with Tommy is that of grandmother, and you might well think that that makes me a biased referee, and I'm sure you're correct. However, I'm also a retired school principal of a school in Paeroa, Miller Avenue School, a U5 primary school, year 1 to 8. I'm also a sitting judicial JP, so perhaps that will make my reference a little bit more credible. I'll do my best to be unbiased and to give you an objective viewpoint. However, I have to admit that I think Tommy's a pretty special little guy, and I have a grandmother's natural predilection for admiring his qualities and his personality. For me, Tommy's 10 years old and I've known him all his life. For me, Tommy's best quality is his caring for everyone in his life. He is sensitive. He notices when people have issues to deal with. He is not overly maudlin or sympathetic, but he is empathetic, and he does try and offer solace and love if he thinks someone in his life is in need of that. Tommy's good qualities is his sense of humour, which comes out in telling funny stories and making jokes and gentle teasing, always in good fun. And another one of his good qualities is that he's prepared to challenge people who he thinks are not being genuine or sincere. Tommy's family and friends, his other family, I think his young cousins would say that he's intense, that he's competitive, that he is always ready to participate in especially active things that are happening around the family and around the community. I've noticed that Tommy has lots of friends, that sometimes Tommy's friends find him a little bit too intense, but on the other hand they do have lots of fun with Tommy and enjoy his company. In particular, his younger cousins really look up to him and want to be in his company and have lots of admiration for what he can achieve, particularly in sport. I think Tommy's older relatives and friends of his parents would possibly say that Tommy can be overly dramatic. He can overreact to some things which other children might find minor or inconsequential. And I think that was possibly an issue for Tommy in his younger primary school days. However, I've noticed in the last year or two that Tommy's managing to conquer some of that overreaction to things that he might find trying to deal with, and is a little bit more resilient and a little bit more matter of fact about how he copes with things and how he presents himself. I think all of Tommy's family and friends would say that Tommy's truthful, honest, sincere, a drama queen, a participant in life's opportunities, a perfectionist, and very hard on himself. He expects a lot of himself, and he can be quite downhearted if he doesn't reach his own expectations. So he needs lots of reassurance. If Tommy was an animal, perhaps he would be... Maybe I'll come back to that. I think Tommy's going to grow into the kind of man that anyone would love their daughter to marry. He's got a great role model in his own father. He has got the potential to be a sensitive and caring father and husband or life partner. His sense of humour will help him to carry a family through some of the tough times that families meet. He will be, though, a vulnerable man because he invests a lot of himself in the relationships that he forms with other people. I think that he will grow into the kind of man that takes his responsibilities seriously and his commitments. But I also think he will grow into the kind of man that is prepared to take a risk, but he will plan thoroughly and put lots of contingencies in place to try and make sure that he's successful, because he is the kind of person, and I think he will continue to grow into the kind of person that finds failure difficult to cope with. Some of the other things that I think are important in Tommy's life, he has in his parents' generation and in his grandparents' generation multiple experiences of split families. He's experienced a split family himself. He's observed split families being successful all around him since he was very small. He has 2 half-sisters and a sister. He has learnt that combined and reconstituted families can work, but he's also noted and observed and taken into account that people have to make compromises and have to work together to make those families work. Another thing to remember about Tommy is that along with his sensitivity goes an artistic soul wrapped up in a sporting body, and so he wants to be artistic, and I think he could be if he put the time and effort into it, but at the moment most of his time and effort goes into sport, and he's very successful at that as well. Tommy, I think, will be a wordsmith, whether he's a writer, an author, a historian, a lawyer. I think that his future lies in the world of words, but I might be wrong. His future might lie in the world of action or in the world of creativity or inventiveness. He has got a lot of potential, and I think he's very clever. Thank you for taking my reference into account. I hope it wasn't too biased and that you can see that I have tried to be objective. Have a good evening.